There's a really ironic element that's kind of popped into my head a couple times during this conversation, that the overlords, if you will, that want us to own nothing and be happy and drive us into like this one world government, this globalization movement. Interestingly enough, and it's kind of ironic, Bitcoin is doing that. It is creating this global movement, this global free market, this rules without rulers that we can all adhere to, and it's incentivizing people to not hoard a bunch of physical stuff.
Like I was saying earlier, just not in the way that they thought. You know, I think it's like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
and it's like
the bottom-up version of that.
Yeah.
It feels like we've skipped timelines. Do you ever think about the multiverse and in quantum physics and like, you know, are we in some collective consciousness as Bitcoiners moving one direction and people that are, I don't know, stuck in the 3D or however you'd want to phrase that, moving in another direction, and we're kind of sucking people in with us into this new timeline? Because it feels to me like we have skipped timelines. Like there are times where I'm just like, wow, I'm really shocked that things are unfolding the way that they are. But then in hindsight, it seems pretty obvious. Like if you have this monetary protocol that's inviolable, then the world is going to organize itself around it, you know?
Another one of my favorite movies is a movie called Arrival. It's Amy Adams. It's a movie, it's maybe 10 years old.
Movie.
Came out, and it's aliens arrive on Earth, and a team of scientists are dispatched to interact with them, and they are trying to get a transmission from these aliens. And the movie is about the idea that the technology they're trying to impart on humanity is their language. And what their language does for somebody who learns it is it helps them understand that time is not linear. And this may ruin the movie for anybody who hasn't watched it, but maybe I'll stop there. So to answer your question.
No, you can ruin it.
Okay.
Here's your spoiler alert.
So at this moment, she is able to use the language and communicate with her a version of herself in the past to change the outcome of a catastrophe that was about to happen. And my thought is on multiverse and the future is I 100% believe the hyper-Bitcoinized future already exists. And when we are old enough to see it, it will, looking backwards, seem obvious. So we are already right now bringing that reality forward, like into the present moment. We're moving there by doing stuff like this, by, you know, everything that's happening in Bitcoin. We are just looking at it like in this incredibly short time frame, trying to determine whether or not it's working or not.
It's like watching the paint dry.
Right. But like every single person that comes online is like a node in the network, in the consciousness of it. And we are moving towards that 99 Monkeys moment. And so I think like that future, it already exists. And we just happen to be experiencing it play out in real time.
Yeah, it's like we're tuning our consciousness to something that has very little distortion or noise in the signal. I think about what things have humans agreed upon for all of known history.
Yeah.
We haven't ever agreed upon something at scale with such clarity. There's no disputing the blockchain. Here's the 21 million and here's every transaction that's ever happened. We agree upon that it's crystal clear. I think that the closest thing that we've had before Bitcoin was like religion, but there's all these different versions of it. So there's like distortion, there's noise. And so I think that it's like...
I'd go with mathematics there.
Mathematics,
Arabic numerals are the closest predecessor to Bitcoin.
That makes sense. And so we've tethered our economic system to indisputable mathematics.
Absolutes in general,
absolutes.
Right? Yeah. Also the speed of light is an absolute, you know, all of the standard units of measurement, right? The kilogram, the meter, the mile, not the mile. Those are all derived from the speed of light. So we have found absolutes in nature and then sort of built systems around them. But that's where Bitcoin's very interesting. It's like the discovery of a new absolute.
And we have, you know, because of all these things that we erect on top of the way money works, like the world works just fine with imperial and metric measurements. Like that's fine. Neither of them change. So we can switch back and forth and it makes sense. In this post-Bitcoin world, we're not only agreeing on a truth, we are removing all of this like nonsense, all of the confusing aspects of the things that don't work. And so that is the thing I think that really creates, the same way I was saying earlier that an individual person can experience a peace of mind. In my book, I say the Tao of Bitcoin is a sense of tranquility that accompanies a comprehension of energy money. And that collective consciousness it works the same way. So if we all understand it, we all experience a sense of tranquility. And what happens in that moment is exactly the same thing we were talking about for an individual. So now all of a sudden, enough of us just stop and take a deep breath and take a look at what we're actually doing and have the time to think about whether or not any of it makes sense. And this is where I think, it's like people don't stop understanding Bitcoin. There are very few people who truly got it and then decided it was stupid. And so that just means that all we need to do is collect more and more people. And that's the part of it that's unstoppable. Like I was saying earlier, everybody wants a better tomorrow. Everybody wants life to get easier. Then none of these things, like Bitcoin has no recruitment barriers for the really important things. Yeah. And so it's a dissemination bottleneck right now that we're in the very early stages of.
Yeah, that's fair to say it that way. And it's been said to me before, there's only a certain throughput that a profound idea can propagate through the minds of men. Like it takes time for people to realize this thing, and they often need to experience some form of pain. They need to experience the problem before you can identify the solution. Because, well, if I just articulate the solution to you and you don't have the problem, you're not going to care, right? Something you said way earlier that I think maybe ties into what we're talking about here, this idea of just agreements really being a defining feature of being human. So far as I know, there's not too many animals that make agreements. I mean, they have like pseudo agreements, like pecking orders and things like that. But we make, we use explicit symbols like language to make explicit agreements with one another about who we are, what we'll do over time, what you can trust me to do or what I'm contracting myself to do. We write contracts with these things. We write declarations of independence with these things. Now we write software with these points of agreement. And it's true both in natural language. It's also true in mathematics. And, these are basically points of consensus or also points of common unity, right? That we all have, where we get the word community, right? We can build communities with language, with mathematics, but without those things, good luck, right? You're just gonna have a bunch of two-legged monkeys running around, not being able to interface properly. And so Bitcoin's like this crazy, indisputable agreement or something. Like it is, you were fishing for it earlier. It's like, well, we had religion and like, sure, if we're all Christian and we all believe in God, it's like, well, we're close to having a consensus, I guess, depending on how you define God, which is a notoriously difficult problem. We get a little bit better with something like mathematics. It's like, okay, this is pretty hard to argue with the number 0 or calculus or whatever the thing may be. But Bitcoin takes it to like, you could still, wokists still will tell you 2 + 2 = 5. So you don't have to subscribe to that consensus point. But with Bitcoin, it's like, you can't not. I mean, you can, I guess. You could say Bitcoin's bullshit, I'm not going to buy it. It's like, well, there goes your bloodline.
Yeah,
right? After all those bloodlines
Darwinism.
are toast, then you're just left with the common unity of everyone under 21 million. And that is like truly mind-blowing. If agreements are this thing that's essential to our humanity, then Bitcoin's like taking our humanity to the next level.
Yeah, and Bitcoin, the existence of Bitcoin negates all of the other weaker agreements.
Yeah.
So this is where you can't have these systems where other people will acknowledge trying to use systems of measurement that don't make any sense. It goes against consensus.
It'll probably blow out all the other nonsense agreements, demagogues have tried to create.
Yeah.
From each according to their ability to each according to their need. Someone's going to say, fuck you, 21 million. The agreement, it's the trust minimized agreement. You don't need to trust someone's promise about what they're going to do in the future. It's like that point's already been established.
Yeah.
It's like, what do they say? Talk is cheap, let your money talk for you kind of thing.
I say this in the book. I think that we haven't had a reasonable basis for the expectation that things make sense because we live in a world fundamentally that it doesn't not make sense. We use these sense-making apparatuses that are flawed. And so Bitcoin, I think among other things it provides is like, okay, if we have an expectation that this thing is sensical, then how does your political strategy, like we can then go from there and expect that everything else also makes sense.
Interesting.
And without it, we can't. We don't really have a basis for that type of demand. But it's like, the helicopter money, giving out like all of these ideas, okay, in the infinite money world, we do a ton of things that we don't have the ability to question.
Yeah.
But that just can't continue. It'd be like, okay, so you're going to give everybody 1,000 sats. Where's that money coming from?
Exactly. Yeah, you have to conform to reality.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin standard.
Yeah.
Well, and it's imposing that reality.
It is imposing it.
There's no escaping it.
Yeah. And this is, I think, because I imagine this Bitcoin bonds this relationship between value and time with energy, where in the world of paper money, it's an imaginary representation. It's not real, but the process of consuming energy and time to turn it into money, which is what Bitcoin is, right? I have this interest in, if you look at the physical forms of money that have evolved over human history, and we've kind of looked around the natural world to find stuff that we could represent as value in time. Seashells, clay tablets, gold, and paper. And it's like there's something about the substances that we chose that then became a reflection of the enduring nature of that form of money. So like the paper is this degradable thing that is really easy to produce, and gold is basically like the closest thing to an immortal money that we have. And then you kind of have everything in the middle, and the different forms of money almost took on the physical characteristics that they're imbued with. And now
so you're saying like we're going to build degradable quick societies on paper money, but then enduring beautiful societies on gold money. Yeah. It's fascinating.
Yeah. And now this, money that's pure information and energy and time are the input components to make a Bitcoin, right? It's and it's also like figurative energy and time. It's the miners and node runners that expend their human energy, creating this this is like the fascinating thing about the Bitcoin network is that it's the first form of money we have that is decentralize the creation of the money system itself. So it's like it's not my idea that it's like an organism. It's like a Kardashev scale technology for uniting people around a single thing that makes sense.